Section 32 of Greatheart. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit Librivox.org. Read by Elaine Fleming. Greatheart by Ethel M. Dell. Wedding Arrangements. It was certainly not love at first sight that prompted Mrs. Bathurst to take a fancy to Isabel Everard. Secretly, Dinah had dreaded their meeting, fearing that innate antagonism which her mother invariably seemed to cherish against the upper class. But within a quarter of an hour of their meeting, she was aware of a change of attitude, a quenching of the hostile element, a curious and wholly new sensation of peace. For though Isabel's regal carriage and low, musical voice marked her as one of the hated species, her gentleness banished all impression of pride. She treated Dinah's mother with an assumption of friendliness that had in it no trace of condescension, and she was so obviously sincere in her wish to establish a cordial relation that it was impossible to remain ungracious. "I can't feel that we are strangers," she said, with her rare smile, when Dinah had departed to fetch the tea. "Your little Dinah has done so much for me, more than I can ever tell you. That I am to have her for a sister seems almost too good to be true." "I wonder you think she's good enough," remarked Mrs. Bathurst, in her blunt way. "She isn't much to look at. I've done my best to bring her up well, but I never thought of her turning into a fine lady. I question if she's fit for it. If she were a fine lady, I don't think I should think so highly of her," Isabel said gently. "But as to her being unfit to fill a high position, she is only inexperienced, and she will learn very quickly. I am willing to teach her all in my power." "I learned to despise her mother," commented Mrs. Bathurst, with sudden bitterness, "after all the trouble I've taken to make her respect me." "I should never teach her that," Isabel answered quietly, "and I am sure that she would be quite incapable of learning it. Mrs. Bathurst, do you really think that worldly position is a thing that greatly matters to anyone in the long run?" "I don't." It was then that a faint, half-grudging admiration awoke in the elder woman's resentful soul, and she looked at Isabel with the first glimmer of kindliness. "You're right," she said slowly. "It don't matter to those who've got it, but to those who haven't." Her eyes glowed red for a moment. "You don't know how it galls," she said. And then she flushed dully, realizing that she had made a confidant of one of the hated breed. But Isabel's hand was on hers in a moment. Her eyes, full of understanding, looked earnest friendship into hers. "Oh, I know," she said. "It is the little things that gall us all, until some fundamental sorrow wrenches our very lives in twain, and then one can almost laugh to think one ever cared about them." Her voice throbbed with feeling. She had lifted the veil for a moment to salve the other woman's bitterness, and Mrs. Bathurst realized it and was touched. "Ah, you've suffered," she said. Isabel bent her head. "But it is over," she said. "I married a man who they said was beneath me. But, God knows, he was above me in every way. And then I lost him." Her voice sank. Mrs. Bathurst's hand came down with a clumsy movement upon hers. "He died?" she said. "Yes." Almost in a whisper, Isabel made answer. "For years I would not face it, would not believe it. He went from me so suddenly. Oh, God, so suddenly." A tremor of anguish sounded in the low words, but in a moment she raised her head, and her eyes were shining with a brightness that no pain could dim. "It is over," she said. "It is quite, quite over. My night is past and can never come again. I am waiting now for the full day, and I know that I have not very long to wait. I have not seen him, no, I have not seen him, but twice now I have heard his voice." Poor soul," said Mrs. Bathurst. It was all the sympathy she could express, but it came from her heart. She no longer regretted her own burst of confidence. The spontaneous answer that it had evoked had had a magically softening effect upon her. In all her life no one had ever charmed her thus. She was astonished herself at the melting of her hardness. "You've suffered worse than I have," she said, "for I never cared for any man like that. I was let down badly when I was a girl, and I have never had any opinion of any of 'em since. My husband's all right, so far as he goes, but he isn't the sort of man to worship. Precious few of 'em are. Whereat Isabel sighed a soft, sad laugh. That is why worldly position matters so little, she said. If by chance the right man really comes, nothing else counts. He is just everything. Maybe you're right, said Mrs. Bathurst, with gloomy acquiescence. Anyhow, it isn't for me to say you're wrong. And this is why when Dinah brought in the tea, she found a wholly new element in the atmosphere and missed the customary sharp rebuke from her mother's lips when she had to go back for the sugar tongs. She had been disappointed that her friend Scott had not been of the party. Isabel's explanation that he had gone home at Eustace's wish to attend to some business had not removed an odd little hurt sense of having been defrauded. She had counted upon seeing Scott that day. It was almost as if he had failed her when she needed him. Though why she seemed to need him, she could not have said, nor could he possibly have known that she would do so. Sir Eustace was in her father's den. She was sure that they were getting on very well together from the occasional bursts of laughter with which their conversation was interspersed. They were not apparently sticking exclusively to business, and now that Isabel had won her mother, deeply though she rejoiced over the conquest, she felt a very little, forlorn. They were all talking about her, but if Scott had been there, he would have talked to her and made her feel at ease. She could not understand his going, even at his brother's behest. It seemed incredible that he should not want to see her home. She sat meekly in the background, thinking of him while she drank her tea, and then, just as she finished, there came the sound of voices at the door, and her father and Sir Eustace came in. They were laughing still. Evidently, the result of the interview was satisfactory to both. Sir Eustace greeted his hostess with lofty courtesy and passed on straight to her side. She turned and tingled at his approach. He was looking more princely than ever. Instinctively she rose. "What do you want to get up for?" demanded her mother sharply. Sir Eustace reached his little trembling fiancée and took the eager hand she stretched to him. His blue eyes flashed their fierce flame over her upturned, quivering face. "Take me into the kitchen, anywhere," he murmured. "I want you to myself." She nodded. "Don't you want any tea? All right. Dad doesn't either. I'll clear away." "No, you don't," her mother said. "You sit down and behave yourself. You'll clear when I tell you to, not before." Sir Eustace wheeled round to her, the flame of his look turning to ice. "With your permission, madam," he said with extreme formality, "Dinah and I are going to retire to talk things over." He had his way. It was obvious that he meant to have it. He motioned to Dinah with an imperious gesture to precede him, and she obeyed, not daring to glance in her mother's direction. Mrs. Bathurst said no more. Something in Sir Eustace's bearing seemed to quell her. She watched him go with eyes that shone with a hot resentment under drawn brows. It took Isabel's utmost effort to charm her back to a mood less hostile. As for Dinah, she led her fiancé back to her father's den in considerable trepidation. To be compelled to resist her mother's will was a state of affairs that filled her with foreboding. But the moment she was alone with him, she forgot all but the one tremendous fact of his presence, for with the closing of the door, he had her in his arms. She clung to him desperately close, feeling as one struggling in deep waters, caught in a great current that would bear her swiftly, irresistibly. Whither? He laughed at her, trembling with careless amusement. "What? Still scared, my brown elf? Where is your old daring? Aren't you allowed to have any spirit at all in this house?" She answered him incoherently, straining to keep her face hidden out of reach of his upturning hand. No, it's not that. You don't understand. It's all so new, so strange. Eustace, please don't kiss me yet." He laughed again, but he did not press her for the moment. "Your father and I have had no end of a talk," he said. "Do you know what has come of it? Would you like to know?" "Yes," she murmured shyly. He was caressing the soft dark ringlets that clustered about her neck. "About getting married, little sweetheart," he said. "You want to get it over quickly, and so do I. There's no reason why we shouldn't, in fact. How about the beginning of next month? How about April?" "Oh, Eustace!" She clung to him closer still. She had no words, but still that sense of being caught, of being borne against her will, possessed her, filling her with dread rather than ecstasy. Whither was she going? Ah, whither? He went on with his easy self-assurance, speaking as if he held the whole world at his disposal. We will go south for the honeymoon. I have crowds of things to show you. Rome, Naples, Venice. After that, we'll come back and go for that summer trip in the yacht I promised you. And Isabel, too, and Scott? Asked Dinah in muffled accents. He laughed over her head, as at the naive prattling of a child. What? On our honeymoon? Oh, hardly, I think. I'll see to it that you're not bored. And look here, my elf. I won't have you shy with me any more. Is that understood? I'm not an ogre. I think you are, rather, murmured Dinah. He bent over her, his lips upon her neck. You midget, and you think I'm going to devour you? Well, perhaps I shall some day, if you go on running away. There's a terrible threat. Now hold up your head, Daphne. Daphne, and let me have that kiss. She hesitated a while longer, and then feeling his patience ebbing, she lifted her face impulsively to his. You will be good to me, promise? Promise, she pleaded tremulously. He was laughing still, but his eyes were aflame. That depends, he declared. I can't answer for myself when you run away. Come, when are you going to kiss me first? Isn't it time you began? She slipped her arms about his neck. Her face was burning. I will now, she said. Yet the moment her lips touched his, the old wild fear came upon her. She made a backward movement of shrinking. He caught her to him. Daphne, he said, and kissed her quivering throat. She did not resist him, but her arms fell apart, and the red blush swiftly died. When he released her, she fell back a step with eyes fast closed, and in a moment her hands went up as though to shield face and neck from the scorching of a furnace. He watched her, a slight frown drawing his brows. The flames still glittered in his eyes, but his mouth was hard. Look here, child, don't be silly, he said. If you treat me like a monster, I shall behave like one. I'm made that way. His voice was curt. It held displeasure. Dinah uncovered her face and looked at him. Oh, you're angry, she said, in tragic accents. He laughed at that. About as angry as I could get with a piece of thistledown. But you know, you're not very wise, my Daphne. You've got it in you to madden me, but it's a risky thing to do. Now see here, I've brought you something to make those moss agate eyes of yours shine. Can you guess what it is? His hand held out to her. She laid her own within it with conscious reluctance. He drew her into the circle of his arm, pressing her to him. She leaned her head against him with a bewildered sense of self-reproach. I'm sorry, I'm silly, Eustace, she murmured. I expect I'm made that way too. Don't take any notice. He touched her forehead lightly with his lips. You'll get over it, sweetheart, he said. It won't matter so much after we're married. I can do as I like with you then. Oh, I shan't like that, said Dinah quickly. His arm pressed her closer. Yes, you will. I'll give you no end of a good time. Now, sweetheart, give me that little hand of yours again. No, the left. There. I wonder if it's small enough. Rather a loose fit, eh? How do you like it? He was fitting a ring to the third finger. Dinah looked and was dazzled. Oh, Eustace, diamonds, she said in an odd whisper. The best I could find, he told her, with princely arrogance. I hunted through Bond Street for it this morning. Will it do? You went up on purpose? Oh, Eustace. She laid her cheek with a winning movement against his hand. You are too good. You are much too good. He laughed carelessly. I'm glad you're satisfied. It's a bond, remember. You must wear it always, till I give you a wedding ring instead. She lifted her face and looked at him with shining eyes. I shall love to wear it, she said. But I expect I shall have to keep it for best. Mother wouldn't let me wear it always. Never mind what your mother says, he returned. It's what I say that matters now. We're going to have you to stay at Willamount in a few days. Isabella's arranging it with your mother now. Your home? Oh, how lovely. Genuine delight was in Dinah's voice. Scott is there, isn't he? He frowned again. Bother Scott. You're coming to see me, no one else. She flushed. "Oh yes, I know, and I shall love it. I shall love it. But do you think I should be allowed to come?" "You must come," he said imperiously. But Dinah looked dubious. "I expect I shall be wanted at home now, and I don't believe we shall get married in April either. I've been away so long." He laughed, flicking her cheek. "Haven't I always told you that where there's a will, there's a way? If necessary, I can run away with you." She shook her head. "Oh, no, I'd rather not. And if we're really going to be married in April, I ought to stay at home to get ready." "Nonsense," he said carelessly. "You can do that from Willowmount. Isabel will help you. It's less than an hour's run to town." Dinah opened her eyes wide. "But I shan't shop in town. I shall have to make all my things. I always do." He laughed again, easily, indulgently. "That simplifies matters. You can do that anywhere. What are you going to be married in? White cotton?" She laughed with him. "I would love to have a real grand wedding," she said. "The sort of wedding Rose de Vigny will have, with bridesmaids and flowers and crowds of people. Of course, I know it can't be done." She gave a little sigh. "But I would love it. I would love it." He was laughing still. "Why can't it be done? Who's going to prevent it?" Dinah had become serious. "Dad hasn't money enough for one thing, and then there's Mother. She wouldn't do it." "Oh, wouldn't she? I've a notion she'd enjoy it even more than you would. If you want a smart wedding, you'd better have it in town. Then the de Vignes and everyone else can come." "Oh no, I want it to be here." Dinah's eyes began to shine. "Dad knows lots of people round about. County people, too. Those are the sort of people I'd like to come. Even Mother might like that," she added reflectively. "You prefer a big splash in your own little pond to a small one in a good-sized lake, is that it?" questioned Eustace. "Well, have it your own way, my child. But I shouldn't make many clothes if I were you. We will shop in Paris after we are married, and then you can get whatever you fancy." Dinah's eyes fairly danced at the thought. "I shall love that. I'll tell Daddy, shall I? To keep all his money for the wedding, and then we can buy the clothes afterwards? That is, if you can afford it," she added quickly. "I ought not to let you, really." "You can't prevent me doing anything," he returned, his hand pressing her shoulder. "No one can." She leaned her head momentarily against his arm. You wouldn't want to do anything that anyone didn't like," she murmured shyly. "Shouldn't I?" he said, and for a moment his mouth was grim. "I am not accustomed to being regarded as an amiable nonentity. I assure you it's settled then, is it? The first week in April, and you are to come to us for at least a fortnight beforehand." Dinah nodded, her head bent. "All right, if Mother doesn't mind." "What would happen if she did?" he asked curiously. "It just wouldn't be done," she made answer. "Wouldn't it? Not if you insisted?" "I couldn't insist," she said, her voice very low. "Why couldn't you? I should have thought you had a will of your own. Don't you ever assert yourself?" "Against her? No, never." Dinah gave a little shudder. "Don't let's talk of it," she said. "Isn't it time to go back? I believe I ought to be clearing away." He detained her for a moment. "You're not going to work like a nigger when you're married to me," he said. She smiled up at him, a merry, dimpling smile. "Oh no, I shall just enjoy myself then, like Rose de Vigny. I shall be much too grand to work. There, I really must go back. Thank you again ever so much for the lovely ring. I hope you'll never find out how unworthy I am of it." She drew his head down with quivering courage and bestowed a butterfly kiss upon his cheek, and then, in a second, she was gone from his hold, gone like a woodland elf with a tinkle of laughter and the skipping of fairy feet. Sir Eustace followed her flight with his eyes only, but in those eyes was the leaping fire of a passion that burned around her, in an ever-narrowing circle. She knew that it was there, but she would not look back to see it, for deep in her heart she feared that flame as she feared nothing else on earth. End of section 32.